So if you consider making an appeal before the European Court of Human Rights or United Nations, one of the best ways to improve your strategy could be considering mistakes, analyzing mistakes of other people. And one of the best examples of this kind of case I can give you is the case of the impeached President of Lithuania against Lithuania that passed both instances, the European Court of Human Rights and the United Nations. In this case, I was imposed to work with a very stupid lawyer called Eugen Zalpius from Austria. Finally, all his arguments were rejected as a complete nonsense by the European Court of Human Rights. However, he made a huge damage to the case. So first of all, the greatest mistake was the choice of jurisdiction. The mistake consists in going to the European Court of Human Rights instead of addressing directly the United Nations. The proceedings before the European Court of Human Rights lasted for 7 years. Then the president decided to take a break of 1 year, and then we appealed to the European Court of Human to the United Nations, this time without that stupid guy, and the proceedings lasted for just 2 years. So in total, the proceedings of the impeached president lasted for 10 years instead of 2 years, which was possible by the way of going directly to the United Nations. The second mistake was the assessment of intellectual capacity of lawyers. For instance, during the debate, during the hearings before the European Court of Human Rights, the village lawyer from Austria used such words as and for 127 times. In the middle of his speech, he asked the judges to excuse him because he had forgotten the offenses, the offenses on the basis of which the president was impeached. He took the papers and he started to look for those offenses. And, he really took his time. Finally, he had forgotten the primary objective of the proceedings. The primary objective of the proceedings was to reestablish the right of the impeached president to stand for presidential elections. He had forgotten to speak about this. This is what I call total disaster. This is terrible. I think he had to make a harakiri after the proceedings. And finally, the third mistake was the long periods of inaction. As I already told, for 1 year he took a break, between the two instances, and then when the Lithuanian government refused to execute the judgment of the European Court of Human Rights and the views of the United Nations, he waited for 3 years before starting to complain about this. If you need an advice on your international litigation, these are my contacts, this is my email. Let's be in touch.